Welcome to the Cal Park Bros podcast. I'm your host, Terrence, and with me is my co-host, Jason, calling in for the Bat Cave in Indianapolis. Jason, how are you, my good man?
Hey, you know what it is? It's record time with the Cal Park Bros. Ready to get into it. Got some good topics this week, some fun ones, some cool ones that I'm excited to talk about, including one that I've been waiting to talk with you about for 3 weeks now. So it's about time, Terrence. Let's get into it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for listening to this episode 67 of the Cal Park Bros podcast. For the uninitiated, Cal Park Bros is the podcast to hear. We are a weekly podcast for fans of sports, current events, and entertainment.
And as always, folks, we are your hosts, Terrence and Jason, and every single Thursday we come to you with a brand new episode where we discuss the current events of the day, sports, and the athletes we love.
And even some of the athletes we loathe. No matter the topic, you can expect a brutally honest and fun exchange of snark while learning through the lens of our 30 years of friendship that originated in Calumet Park, Illinois.
And folks, for more Cal Park Bros content, make sure you connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok under the handle Cal Park Bros or Cal Park Bros Podcast for more behind the scenes of the show and just to engage with us every single day. But do not forget that the Cal Park Bros Podcast is available to listen and subscribe for free wherever you listen to podcasts.
Like us, love us, share us, follow us. And folks, if you like us, hell, why wouldn't you?
That's right, folks. Like Terrence said, we are the podcast to hear and watch. So make sure you're living it, loving it, and doing it.
All right. Kicking off first segment of the show, we'll be talking about Lori Lightfoot being in the news for a different reason other than that suit.
The one suit she has, the one and only one.
Dog, I'm not even taking it there. I think clearly she's got a signature suit, and I'll leave it at that.
And a very signature look as well.
Yes, very true.
I'll leave that there.
Yes, probably best that you do. Now, the reason Lori Lightfoot was in the news is not for anything that had to do with her trying to convince the Chicago Bears to stay in Soldier Field. It actually had to do something not related to her begging the Bears to stay, not related to, Chicago violence. Thank God. It was actually another sports update, and that is that NASCAR is going to be driving through Chicago in 2023 for the first ever big city street race. So Chicago is no stranger to big events. You got the Taste of Chicago. You got Lollapalooza, for crying out loud. But apparently NASCAR is making a play for effect, basically having a race through downtown Chicago. And this is going to be on the books for summer of 2023. I believe July 4th weekend, actually, Jason.
That's right. July 1st and 2nd, man. Getting ready for the 4th of July weekend. And apparently it's a big weekend for NASCAR, and they decided to bring it to Chicago. I hadn't heard about this until one of our listeners pointed it out to us. So thank you to Paul from Illinois for that. And once we kind of saw that, we were very compelled to talk about it. So here we are.
Yeah. And Jason, out of the two of us, I'm probably the bigger NASCAR fan by default. Listen, my old man, that him being from the South, that was something he was kind of into, was watching NASCAR. And I think from my perspective, I was, he was a big Dale Earnhardt fan. And I felt like because I wanted to, I at least on a casual level follow the sport, I would follow a bigger name like a Dale Earnhardt Jr. And so I definitely, while I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fan of all time, clearly since Dale Earnhardt Jr. has retired, I'm not paying as much attention. I do think it is a big deal that NASCAR is doing this 3-year deal with Chicago. Because first off, you got up-and-coming names like Bubba Wallace, who he's being bankrolled literally and figuratively by Michael Jordan.
He was even the face of NASCAR for the announcement event that was going to be in Chicago. Lori Lightfoot was on there and Bubba Wallace. So yeah, exactly.
So it's a built-in win for the city. Clearly NASCAR is looking to make some hay. To a new audience potentially. NASCAR's done events in Joliet, for example, but they've never done something in the big city. So I I think it's a good get. I hope I'm interested in going to it just because it's in Chicago. I think having it in Chicago makes it in some ways more accessible for more people.
How so?
Well, for one, it from my perspective, it's easier to get to downtown Chicago than it is to get to Joliet.
Well, of course.
You got more transportation, you got more methods of transportation. Now, if you're one of these crazy people that wants to take your Tesla down there, you're welcome to the disaster piece that you get. There's going to be a ton of uh, of roads that are going to be closed as a result of this big event. You For me, I would want to make a weekend out of it. Maybe take the train down to the city and maybe stay in a hotel somewhere to fully enjoy the experience. That's what a lot of these NASCAR race weekends are anyway. It's not just let's just stop by for the day. It's like, hey, let's make a weekend out of it. And you're in Chicago anyway. Like, there'd be so much other stuff to do even if you weren't into the race. So those are my initial thoughts, dog. Will this event being in our favorite city make you would you consider going to this, Jason?
Well, before I answer that question, it's kind of uh, one thing to point out when it comes to one thing you mentioned about making a weekend of it. I do agree with you there that, especially for somebody coming from out of town for this, it's already on the weekend as it is. Make it an event because, one, you're going to be in Chicago, so you have plenty of other things you can do that aren't even race related, in addition to going to the race itself. Now, to Terrence, I'd say if you're going to do that, though, I would definitely say book the hotel now because it's going to fill up really quick and be a lot more pricey as it gets closer to the event. So if you already know you're going to do that, start looking at hotels right now. My word of advice for everybody listening: you're welcome. But to answer your question, yeah. Initially, when it came out, obviously I thought it was huge news and very cool. Uh, Street race coming to Chicago. I'm sure there's always street racers anyway in Chicago, so now it can be officially done by professionals, I guess. So here we go there. But will I go? I will say I'm more compelled to go. Um, I don't know how that will work out logistically. I'm because like me, I think of the traffic. I'm like, okay, getting down there is going to be a nightmare. Okay, yes, I have family that live close enough to the Grant Park area, but they're not like within walking distance, right? So for me, that's what I think about. But I don't know. We'll see. But really, the first thing I thought of when this came out was like, wait a minute. So it's coming to Chicago. Where the hell is it going to be? In Chicago, downtown Chicago. So I'm like, and not too long after that, there's websites out there that show the proposed course. So folks, go to any website. You can go to NASCAR.com for the official announcement of this race. They have a proposed course map right there. But basically, it's going to be centered right around and hovering around or near Grant Park downtown. The starting and finish line is going to be right there on South Columbus. Start there, make a left on East Balboa, make a right on South Lake Shore, come on around down East Roosevelt Road, come back down South Columbus, make a left on Balboa again, going to East Congress Plaza Drive, up East Jackson, and right back on South Columbus to the starting line, finish line. Folks, anybody who's listening to this who's an expert in Chicago, you know everything I just said and can imagine how the courses are going to be. But again, go to the website, check out the course. As I'm sitting here looking at the map of this, and as the map you're seeing, it's like including like the I can't remember what it's called, but you can actually see the actual layout of Chicago itself. Like there's a lake, there's a fountain in Grant Park, there's all these buildings. So it's kind of cool to imagine the racetrack is weaving its way through actual city of Chicago. And I'm just a fan. I'm not going to be in the car. So I imagine how cool that would be for people in the cars to be driving through this mecca of a city at whatever speed you're going to be going. So look at this map actually makes me more compelled to go because I actually want to see this actually happen. I've never been to any kind of official race or anything. I lived here in Indianapolis for 5 years now. Never been to an Indianapolis 500, somewhat by choice, some other reasons. But this, I would actually be more interested. What's it look for? What was it look for? Are you making those faces? I can see you, sir. So what are you making those faces for?
It's just how you they booked it like other reasons. I was like unless you're gonna tell us.
Hey, brother has to keep his secrets, okay? We're open book here at the Cowpart Bros, but hey, too much behind the curtain. You don't need to see that, okay? But yeah, I'm very compelled to go. Actually, we'll see what things go. I'll probably be more last minute, decide to go or not, but we shall see. But yeah, looking at this rap course, I'm very interested in going. I was also curious too when it comes to okay, so I can see the race course. How's it gonna be set up for people to watch this thing? Because even though I haven't been to a race, obviously I used to live right by where the Indy 500 actually is raced, so I can see all the fans around that circle track. But with this, it's like, okay, how's it going to work? Because you're going through a whole city. I'm sure they'll figure it out. They have plenty of time to plan for this. It's a whole year away. But what I did see is how many people are going to plan to actually have watching the race. And they said they hope to have it around the same amount of people in one day as Lollapalooza in Chicago. So around 100,000 people, which is a lot. So, so definitely, folks, if you're looking to go, there'll be plenty of tickets. Definitely go check it out. Like Terrence said, there's a 3-year deal in place for this. So 2023 will just be the first year. 24 and 25, they'll do this stuff again. I would be kind of curious, though, if there's a possibility of them changing locations. I'd imagine probably not. Logistically in Chicago, I'm not sure what else they can put it. The fact that they even came up with this course is impressive in my opinion, because somebody had to come up with this idea. So kudos to whoever that person was, male or female, non-binary. Kudos to you. I have my headphones on, so I can't tip my cap, but you get the point. So, but Terrence, what are some of your other thoughts about this? You said you're wanting to go, and I definitely see why. But what are some of your other thoughts about this event and what it might mean for Chicago and some of the people going, or what it might mean for Lori Lightfoot?
Well, let's start with the obvious. Every one of these events is a good get for the city. It's gives the city an opportunity to be known for something else other than some of our less than stellar moments, um, related to violence or safety issues in the city. And listen, because of what's happening and where it's happening, hell, this NASCAR deal might be the safest damn place in America. That's the one thing I've noticed now that, especially in light of um the Highland Park episode, um the level of security to even get into that damn place is going to be off the charts. Okay? They're just not going to do that anymore. I think about 20 years ago, Jason, we would go to the Taste of Chicago. It was a free for all, right? Pretty much anybody who desired to get into the park could get into the park. Now, in addition to all the security measures, you have effectively what's called the riffraff tax. And while some people may rail against the idea of, I can't believe I got to pay an extra $10 for this and a $10 for that, that's the idea. You're rooting out the people that you don't want there any damn way, who clearly aren't, they're just kind of loitering, right? Like they're looking for something to do, but they're not actually going to spend any money.
Oh yeah, this event definitely is not going to be that at all. You're not getting well. Obviously, you got to pay the ticket to get in, which I can imagine what the cost of this is going to be. To be honest with you, it wouldn't shock me if you had to pay at least $100 for per ticket to get in. Wouldn't shock me. And I have to imagine most people aren't going to just shell it out. One, unless you're not a fan of NASCAR, or two, a fan of something like this coming to Chicago. I'm sure you're looking it up how much it is right now. Well, you're probably not going to know because tickets aren't available till later this year. But I'm just guessing on the fact that obviously Chicago and NASCAR want to make money off of this. And I'd imagine from Chicago side of things, it's not going to be cheap to have all this stuff set up, all the safety measures in place, not even just from security for the people, which are safety measures when it comes to people in the stadium. Because one of my first thought was, how safe is this going to be for the people? watching the event, how safe is this going to be for the city? Now, some of this may have been just a little ridiculous because obviously when you watch NASCAR races that aren't in the middle of the city, you don't see a whole lot of cars flying into the stands or out of the stadium. So some of that might have been a little ridiculous of me thinking, I will admit that. However, that wasn't one of the first things I thought of. How is this going to damage the city, potentially, if there is some bad accident? Probably not the way to think about things because, again, probably not going to happen. But you brought up a good point that I also thought about for other events is safety and security. Not so much for people in the venue because, again, I'm sure you're going to have to go through so many metal detectors to get in the place anyway. That's going to save itself. But then also, as we see, as you talk about the Highland Park thing, safety for people leaving the facility, which maybe nothing you can do about that because it is what it is. I hate saying that, but safety is, of course, of importance. But again, compared to the Taste of Chicago days of back in yesteryear when you and I went, for example, it's not going to be that because you're not going down to the stadium to hang out just to hang out around the stadium. Unless you have to be careful here. Watch my language. But yeah, this time. But yeah, you're not going down there just to hang out like you would at the Taste of Chicago. They're probably not going to even allow that based off all the security they're going to have to do. Because I'm sure the last thing Chicago or NASCAR wants for this first time ever event, not just first time in Chicago, but first ever street race event, they're not going to want to take any chances on anything. So I'm sure they're not going to be having anybody loitering around the facilities unless you have a ticket trying to get in or whatever. So I would feel confident, obviously, and safe in going down there. Obviously, stuff can still pop off, but still, I'm pretty confident that all the safety measures for this event will be taken. They have a year in advance to plan this stuff. I'm sure Chicago, like you just said, because Chicago knows how to host stuff, is not going to take anything lightly when it comes to whatever aspect you want to mention. So,
yeah, man, I'm excited. I know you said $100. I feel like you might need to add an extra one to that.
You mean an extra zero?
Extra one to the one you mentioned, as in $200.
Okay. Well, I mean, put it this way. Obviously, there's going to be some tickets. Yeah, are probably actually going to be that $1,000 or plus dollars. But I'm talking about when I said 100, I just meant base to get in. Now, you might think it's 200. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you because you probably could be correct. But again, I don't know. I never looked into pricing like from the the venue, how much it costs to get to the Indy 500. Now, I don't think this event's going to be as pricey as that. But still, because it's in Chicago, I love my city, but let's be honest here. It costs to do stuff in Chicago. So, but it is what it is. But again, this kind of event, if it was something I really wanted to go to, I'd be willing to spend that little bit of extra money because, again, I probably wouldn't be going again. And compared to the 2024 and 2025, this is the first time. So the allure will be there for the first time, for me at least. I'm not sure for myself the second or third. So, do you think you see yourself going to all three or just one?
I think
that kind of depends on how the first one goes. If you go,
I think we're so far away from even. First, I need to see what these tickets look like. Let's be honest. As a man of means, but those means are finite. I can't just say, "Oh, I'm going no matter what." Shut up, like dog. Let's see what the numbers look like first.
Folks, don't let Terrence fool you. Terrence is an award-winning business analyst, so don't let him fool you. He's making bank. He's a baller. He's a shot caller. But yeah, he's not denying it either. So yeah, just FYI, don't let him fool you.
Yeah, I feel like this has never been a more finer time to end this segment.
But real quick though, I did look up ticket real quick. You can drop it. I did look up ticket costs for the 2022 Indy 500, and there were some actually pretty modestly. You can actually get in for the base price for like $115, $120, or actually less than that in some areas. So,
yep.
FYI.
And for $25, you can just smell the exhaust from outside.
I can do that in my driveway, bro. So,
yeah, it's like Chris Rock and I'm gonna get you, sucker. How about you just pour it in my hand for a dime?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now we can end the segment.
Yeah. All right, that concludes the NASCAR Twisted Metal Chicago segment. Coming up next, we'll be talking about Thor and Love and Thunder on Cow Park Bros.